Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring this rare condition, Harlequin ichthyosis.
hmm
We're going to be looking at some medical texts to try to better understand it.
Right.
Just imagine, babies are born with skin
Yeah.
so thick and scaly it resembles armor,
Wow.
giving them that name Harlequin
Mm.
due to the diamond-shaped scales.
Mm.
And if you
Yeah.
guys are finding this fascinating,
Yeah.
be sure to share this episode. Subscribe
Yeah.
to Untold Chronicles
hmm
for more deep dives like this.
It's remarkable that we have records of this condition dating back to the 1750s.
Wow.
Imagine encountering something so rare
Right.
and visually striking back then
Yeah.
with no understanding of its cause.
It does kind of sound like a scene out of like a medical mystery novel.
Right.
So what exactly is Harlequin ichthyosis?
Well, Harlequin ichthyosis is an extremely rare genetic skin disorder.
Okay.
To put its rarity into perspective, it affects roughly 1 in every 300,000 to 1 million births. Essentially, it disrupts the normal development of skin, leading to various complications.
So while it is rare, understanding conditions like this, I
Yeah.
think is crucial.
I agree.
Not just for potential like medical reasons,
Right.
but also just to appreciate the complexities of the human body.
Absolutely.
Right.
The genetic basis of Harlequin ichthyosis makes it particularly intriguing.
Okay.
It's caused by mutations in the ABCA12 gene.
Now, I'm sure that most of us are not geneticists.
Right.
Could you maybe explain what this gene does in simpler terms?
Yeah. Imagine the ABCA12 gene as a blueprint for a vital protein that acts like mortar, holding the bricks of your skin's wall together. This wall is your skin's protective barrier, keeping harmful things out and moisture in.
So if this blueprint is faulty,
Precisely. The protein isn't formed correctly,
right,
and that protective barrier is compromised.
like baking a cake with a missing ingredient, you'll end up with a very different result.
Exactly.
Now, how is this condition inherited?
Harlequin ichthyosis has an autosomal recessive inheritance pattern.
Hmm.
Think of it like flipping a coin. Each parent flips one.
Yep.
Only if both coins land on heads does the child inherit the condition.
Okay.
So inheriting one faulty copy doesn't necessarily mean you'll have the condition.
Gotcha.
Those individuals are considered carriers.
Okay.
They usually don't show symptoms,
Right.
but they can potentially pass the faulty gene on to their children.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah,
So what impact does all of this have on the body?
the faulty protein leads to a cascade of problems.
Hmm.
The skin becomes extremely thick and scaly, limiting movement and potentially causing deformities.
Wow, I can only imagine the challenges of being born with skin like that. What other complications arise?
Well, the disrupted skin barrier also affects the body's ability to regulate temperature and fight off infections, increasing the risk of overheating and illness.
Right.
Because of these complications,
Uh,
babies with Harlequin ichthyosis often require intensive care immediately after birth.
It sounds incredibly challenging both for the baby and their family.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's not just the physical aspects, but the emotional and social impact as well.
That's a really important point. It's about the entire human experience.
Right.
So what about living with Harlequin ichthyosis? Is there a cure?
Unfortunately, there isn't a cure yet.
Okay.
But there are ways to manage the symptoms and prevent some complications.
What does that involve?
A significant part involves intensive skincare. Think of continuously moisturizing to prevent the skin from cracking and losing moisture.
Okay.
Medications can help control scaling, and in some cases,
Yeah.
surgeries might be necessary to correct deformities.
So it's a lifelong commitment to managing the condition.
It is, and it requires strong support,
Okay.
both medically and emotionally.
Mm.
Families need access to specialists, information, and often counseling to help them navigate these challenges.
It's remarkable to think about the resilience of these families and individuals living with Harlequin ichthyosis.
It truly is.
And amidst the difficulties,
Yeah,
there are glimmers of hope on the horizon.
there are.
You've got me intrigued.
Uh-huh.
What are these glimmers of hope?
Research is constantly advancing,
Mm.
and there's a lot of excitement around gene therapy,
Yeah.
which aims to correct the faulty ABCA12 gene.
So essentially replacing the faulty blueprint.
Exactly.
Wow.
Another promising avenue is stem cell therapy,
Mm.
which holds the potential for growing healthy skin.
That sounds almost futuristic.
Right.
Are these therapies a long way off?
They're still in the research and development phases,
Okay.
but it's encouraging to see science progressing and offering potential solutions for the future.
That does give reason for cautious optimism,
Right.
but it also raises questions about the implications of these advancements, right?
Absolutely.
Things like gene editing and stem cell therapy raise ethical
Of
considerations.
course.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the historical intrigue of Harlequin ichthyosis to the cutting-edge science that might one day offer a cure.
Right.
But before we get into the ethics of it all, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsor.
So we've talked about the challenges of Harlequin ichthyosis,
Right.
but even today, we have strategies that can significantly improve the lives of those affected.
Right. You mentioned the intensive skincare and medications earlier.
Right.
Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on what those entail?
Well, keeping the skin constantly moisturized is crucial.
Hmm?
We're talking about applying, thick ointment-based emollients, possibly multiple times a day,
Right.
to prevent drying and cracking.
I imagine regular lotions wouldn't be sufficient.
You're right. Think more along the lines of petroleum jelly or other, heavy-duty moisturizers that create a barrier to prevent water loss.
Hmm.
And it's not just the type of moisturizer, but the frequency and the application technique as well.
That sounds like quite an intensive routine.
It is, and it
Oh.
needs to be tailored to each individual because the severity of Harlequin ichthyosis can vary greatly.
Right. So,
Yep.
yeah, that makes sense. You also mentioned medications.
Right.
How do those work?
Well, certain medications, like keratolytics, help soften and remove the thick scales that build up. Others, such as retinoids, can help normalize skin cell growth and shedding.
So it's about kind of approaching the problem from multiple angles.
Precisely. And in some cases,
Yeah.
oral retinoids taken by mouth may be more effective than topical ones.
Okay.
However, they can have potential side effects. So the decision to use them requires careful consideration with a doctor.
Finding the right combination of treatments seems key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It often involves trial and error,
Hmm.
close monitoring, and adjustments along the way.
You mentioned earlier that sometimes surgeries are necessary.
Yeah.
What types of surgeries are we talking about?
Well, in some cases, the skin's tightness can be so severe that it restricts movement or causes deformities. Surgeries might be needed to release constricted digits,
Wow.
improve eyelid function,
Hmm.
or address other physical issues resulting from the condition.
It's incredible how this condition can affect so many different parts of the body.
It is.
Right.
It highlights the importance of a multidisciplinary approach to treatment.
Yeah?
Dermatologists, geneticists, ophthalmologists, and often
Wow.
physical and occupational therapists all work together to provide the best possible care.
It really does take a village to address all the complexities of Harlequin ichthyosis.
It does.
And beyond just the physical challenges,
Right.
there's the emotional and social impact to consider.
You're absolutely right.
Right.
Living with a rare, invisible condition like this can be incredibly isolating.
Right.
Facing stares,
Mhm.
whispers, and sometimes even outright discrimination can be incredibly difficult.
It's heartbreaking to think about.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why psychosocial support is so important. Connecting with others who understand, whether through support groups or online communities, can make a world of difference.
It's about finding that sense of belonging and shared experience.
Exactly. And it's not just for individuals with Harlequin ichthyosis, but for their families as well. Parents, siblings, extended family members
Right.
all need support and resources to help them cope with the challenges and celebrate the victories.
It's striking that despite the immense difficulties,
Yeah.
there's this incredible resilience that shines through.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of people with Harlequin ichthyosis living their lives, pursuing their passions, advocating for themselves and others.
It's truly inspiring.
Yeah.
It speaks to the fundamental human drive to adapt, connect, and find meaning and purpose, even in the face of adversity.
It reminds us that beauty and strength can be found in the most unexpected places.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that while we've made great strides in understanding and managing Harlequin ichthyosis,
Right.
there's still much more to learn.
Right. The research is ongoing.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to those glimmers of hope we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Gene therapy and stem cell therapy. These are incredibly exciting areas of research,
They are.
offering the potential to not just treat symptoms,
Right.
but to actually address the root cause of the condition.
Precisely.
So instead of managing the cracked and scaly skin, we could potentially prevent it from happening in the first place.
That's the ultimate goal.
Wow.
And with gene editing technologies like CRISPR-Cas9, it seems more attainable than ever before.
Could you explain how gene therapy would work for Harlequin ichthyosis?
Well, the idea is to deliver a healthy copy of the ABCA12 gene into the body's cells,
Okay.
essentially replacing the faulty blueprint with a working one.
It sounds like science fiction, but it's becoming a reality.
It is.
Right.
However, there are still hurdles to overcome.
Right.
We need to figure out how to deliver the genes safely and effectively,
Okay.
ensure its proper integration into cells, and avoid unintended consequences.
So it's a complex process with many intricacies.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
But the potential rewards are enormous. Imagine preventing the debilitating effects of Harlequin ichthyosis,
Right.
allowing children to grow up with healthy skin and a better chance at a full and active life.
That would be truly revolutionary.
It would.
What about stem cell therapy? How does that fit into the picture?
Well, stem cell therapy is another promising avenue, particularly for treating the skin damage caused by Harlequin ichthyosis. Stem cells have the ability to develop into different types of cells. The idea is to use them to generate healthy skin cells that can be transplanted onto the affected areas.
So essentially growing new skin to replace the damaged skin.
That's the essence of it.
Wow.
And the beauty of stem cell therapy is that it can be personalized. We could potentially use the patient's own cells, genetically modified, to correct that ABCA12 defect.
Wow.
To create skin grafts that are perfectly compatible with their body.
That's incredible.
It is.
It truly is like science fiction coming to life right before our eyes.
It really is.
Yeah.
And while these therapies are still in the early stages of development, the progress is remarkable. There are clinical trials underway, and we're constantly learning more about the potential of these cutting-edge approaches.
It's amazing to think about how far we've come.
Yeah.
And how much potential there is for the future.
Right.
And it all started with that initial observation centuries ago of babies born with skin-like armor.
That's right.
Wow.
From that initial spark of curiosity, we've embarked on a journey of scientific discovery, leading to a deeper understanding of this rare and complex condition, and ultimately to the development of potential cures.
It's a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of knowledge.
It is.
And it brings us to the ethical considerations surrounding these groundbreaking advancements. While these technologies offer hope,
Right.
they also raise important questions about their implications.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The potential of gene editing and stem cell therapies raises profound questions about how we use these powerful tools.
Right.
What limits we set, and what kind of future we want to create.
It's a crucial conversation to have.
It is.
And that's precisely what we'll delve into in the final part of our deep dive today, so stay tuned.
Oh.
All right, so we're back.
Yeah.
And ready to kind of explore these ethical considerations surrounding these groundbreaking advancements
Right.
in gene editing and stem cell therapy.
Right.
You know, these technologies offer hope, but they also raise these really important questions
They do.
about the responsible application.
Absolutely. It's crucial to have these conversations now before these therapies become widely available.
Yeah.
We need to kind of think through the implications,
Right.
both for individuals and society as a whole.
So where should we begin? Like, what are some of the key ethical concerns that people are raising?
Well, one major concern revolves around the concept of designer babies. If we can edit genes to prevent diseases, what's to stop us from editing genes to select traits,
Right.
like eye color, height, or even intelligence?
It's a really thought-provoking question, almost like a science fiction scenario becoming reality.
It is.
What are the potential ramifications of such capabilities?
Well, it raises questions about what we consider normal and whether we risk creating a society where certain traits are valued over others,
Right.
potentially leading to new forms of inequality and discrimination.
Those are valid concerns?
Yeah.
What about access to these therapies? You know, they're likely to be expensive treatments.
Right.
Could this create a divide
Absolutely.
between those who can afford genetic enhancements and those who can't?
That's a very real concern.
Yeah.
We already see disparities in healthcare access, and genetic therapies could exacerbate those inequalities.
Right.
It's vital to consider issues of justice and equity as we develop and implement these technologies.
It seems like we'd be adding another layer of complexity to existing social and economic divides.
Right.
Are there other, like, potential pitfalls we should be thinking about?
Another concern involves unintended consequences. Genes are incredibly complex, and altering one gene could have ripple effects throughout the entire genome.
So it's not as simple as just like fixing one broken part.
It's more like trying to rewire a complex electrical system.
Right.
We need to proceed with caution and conduct thorough research to minimize the risk of unintended harm.
It's a huge responsibility.
It is.
But I think these ethical concerns shouldn't halt progress,
I agree.
but rather guide it responsibly.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Ethical considerations should be woven into every step of the research and development process.
Right.
Open and honest dialogue
Mm.
among scientists, policymakers, ethicists, and the public is essential.
It's about striking that delicate balance between kind of pushing the boundaries of science
Right.
and safeguarding human values.
Precisely. Ultimately,
Yeah.
it's about using these powerful tools to improve human health and well-being in a way that benefits everyone.
Well said. That was well said.
Thank-
This conversation really underscores the importance of considering the social and ethical implications
Right.
alongside the scientific advancements.
Absolutely. It's a call to action for all of us to engage in these discussions
Right.
and help shape the future of genetic medicine responsibly.
Well, we've journeyed from the history of Harlequin Ichthyosis
Hmm.
to the science of its cause and potential cures,
Right.
and finally to these profound ethical questions it raises.
Yeah.
It's been a really insightful deep dive.
Absolutely.
If you guys found this exploration fascinating, be sure to share this episode and subscribe to Untold Chronicles
Yes.
for more intriguing deep dives.
Until next time.
Until next time.